What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, once again deep diving into the Grateful Dead. It's been a while on this channel. I've been deep diving into some 74 stuff recently, and I've already reviewed all 74 stuff, so I had nothing new to share. But today, would like to talk about the most recent Dave's Picks release, Dave's Picks 56. 4 CDs, 2 shows, March 20th, 1981, March 21st, 1981. I'm going to review them, rank them among the others that I've already done. I've done all of them except 53. For some reason, I've not got around to 53. I will get to that. I'm going to rank it among all the others, not play music from it, and pretty much just encourage you to maybe track this down and get it, or at least listen to it, because it is absolutely fantastic. The release is fantastic. The performances are fantastic. I love the early 80s Grateful Dead sound with that Brent Midland sort of psych pop, day-glow colored synthy keyboard sound. It's kind of light. It's just very bright colors. And I think it is a really nice contrast to the pretty intense guitar playing that Jerry Garcia generally does, but especially in this show, I think the contrast between Midland's just that early 80s sound when he's still kind of tinkering with a lot of his tones and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. I don't know, it all works here, coupled with Jerry's just relentless playing, kind of always getting psyche and getting weird, even if things are going straight forward. Jerry's always dipping into a little bit like swirly type psych flavors. The band sounds amazing. The set list is amazing. Midland's dropping some great organ stuff every so often. Bob Weir's on slide guitar way too often, but he's gotten much better than he was when he first started. So that's providing some a different texture to a lot of this. But this is just absolutely two amazing shows. And a lot of times looking at the set list, you're like, oh, okay, Truckin' doesn't really lead to any sort of epic jam. There's a He's Gone. But almost all of these songs have these really nice 3 to 4 minute jams at the end of them that just find Jerry unwilling to give up on a song and just, I want to jam this out as much as possible before we get to the next thing. And Jerry is just constantly sort of pushing the envelope on these songs and not really going to these epic mind-blowing jams, but sprinkling in enough really good jams throughout each show that it's just like 2 fantastic listens. All right, the first show, they're from London, England, by the way. First show, March 20th, 1981. The first set is absolutely just perfect. The first set on both of these is perfect. We open up with a Feel Like a Stranger. That is exactly, does everything you want to feel like a stranger to do. The band just gets into that sort of post-vocal jam, and they just ride it out, and everything's kind of flowing and going back and forth. And Jerry's just right in the middle, sort of just exploring and, doing that Feel Like a Stranger bouncy groove thing. Absolutely amazing. Interesting first set in the first show, in that we get like these peaks to open and close the set, and then we kind of dip down after the peak and before the peak, and then we rise in the middle, because after the opening Feel Like a Stranger, we get a Friend of the Devil and a CC Rider, both of which are performed pretty well, but definitely bring the energy down to like a simmer, but a pretty intense simmer. Like, these are well-performed songs, but it seems like Feel Like a Stranger almost demanded something a little more aggressive here, but still good performances. But then we get an Althea as the fourth song after CC Rider. And Althea is definitely taking that energy that's kind of simmering in Friend of the Devil and CC Rider, and it's kind of bringing it back up and kind of just, it's a sad Althea, but it's confident. Jerry's completely locked in. They completely jam out the finish. Jerry's solo just feels just epic and huge and emotional. Just absolutely great Althea. This is the only song that gets played in both shows. They would drop an Althea in the second set, or in the second show, first set, second show. Might be one of the best Altheas I've heard. I think it is one of the best Altheas I've heard. So Althea is killing it twice on this release. So if you're an Althea fan, you got to check out these Altheas. We get a Mama Tried Mexicali after that. Good energy for those. Then we get a Loser. And this Loser, I'm always down for a Loser, but there is something almost like, it feels like it's threatening to fall apart. Like it's just struggling to make it to the finish line. But that's like part of the charm, because that's almost like the vocal sort of energy that Jerry's given the performance is The lyrics in Loser you can sing it so many different ways. You can be defiant, I'm gonna get that deal and make it. It can be sad and resigned. It can be like naive and foolish. There's a sad optimism to this performance. Like the guy's hopeful, but you can even hear in his vocal that it's just not gonna happen. And the way the performance is, it there's just gets a little sloppy towards the back half, and it almost feels like, oh, we're not gonna make it, but we're gonna give it our all. I don't know. It's a great Loser, just absolutely fantastic, but kind of scrappy, kind of a scrappy Loser. We get a new Minglewood, which is fantastic. They build it really nice before we get the first vocals. The build is really good. Great Brent organ energy. Great Jerry solo. Then we get a Candyman. Nice spacey solo tone that Jerry always has in here. A Looks Like Rain that is kind of super calm, but really, really works and builds really nicely to a conclusion that makes me wonder why Looks Like Rain did just not always stay in this spot. It should be a penultimate first set song, not an early second set song. I don't understand that placement. I think it works perfectly as sort of the penultimate song leading into whatever Jerry wants to close with. That's not the case. Would not be the case eventually. Looks Like Rain would end up in the second set, but it works perfectly here. And then we get a deal to close out the first set. And I grew up in the era when deals were huge. I only heard them close in the first set of Dead shows. They were massive. Jerry would just push the envelope as much as possible and just close with this rock energy. This is one of those deals that's absolutely epic. This is why people who started seeing them in the 80s absolutely think Deal is a beast. And it just surprises me when I listen to stuff from the 70s and realize how long it took the Dead to sort of unlock this monster. The Deal is incredible. Great first set. Second set opens up with a Scarlet Fire that is amazing. The energy from the Deal completely gets carried through the Scarlet. The Scarlet is huge. It's epic. Jerry is just bringing the energy in his solo. Brent sounds amazing. When we get into the jam afterwards, we got this very colorful, swirly, psychedelic, fun vibe. This is like day glow colors everywhere. This is what psych jam band music should be. This is the epitome of it. And the band's just playing. It's just one of those post-Scarlet jams, the Segway jam, where you just feels like they just are happy to be here. They're happy to just be playing. They're just going to play as long as possible. It's trippy. It's weird. It's out there. We get a really weird kind of funky segue into Fire on the Mountain that is just beautiful. It's almost like this like start, stop. Almost this weird staccato thing. Fire on the Mountain is kind of fast in its energy, but Jerry just is ready to explode at any point. Every time we get into like a pocket jam, Jerry just gets out there. Towards the end, we start to break things down, and then we build it back up, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and Fire is absolutely epic. Just an amazing Scarlet Fire. Then we get a Lost Sailor. Absolutely amazing Lost. The Lost Sailor works. The ending of Lost Sailor, I've always thought it's like a storm, right? He's lost in the storm and something happens. You feel the tumultuous of being on the seas in a storm at the end of this. That just rain falling down thing. That's Rain Falling Down is Saint. What does he say at the end of Lost Sailor? Whatever he says, it's working. It's great. You feel like you're in that storm. The segue and drop in a Saint of Circumstance is fantastic. And that rain falling down segment in Saint, Jerry goes dark. We revisit the storm that closed out Sailor. Absolutely amazing. But we get this weird cold ending to Saint of Circumstance. Just kind of ends. Eventually we wind up in He's Gone. Really solid He's Gone with a really cool jam at the end that I think is Bob is leading it on slide guitar. I think Jerry's left the stage. But we get a really nice jam that has some Samson and Delilah energy because the drums are very active in this and Bob's on his slide. Pretty cool. It gets trippy, psyche at the very end of the He's Gone. Really good drums. Amazing space. The space is fantastic on both of these. This one is nightmare fuel space. Like, we eventually go into trucking. There is nothing about this space that says we're eventually going into trucking. It seems like we're going really dark like the other one. The fact that they don't go into the other one is just crazy. Jerry gets manic. It gets creepy. It's a fantastic space. We get a truckin', which is not the energy that is needed coming out of that space, but it's a really good truckin'. They nail the build, they nail the drop, and then there's just an amazing sort of swirling jam at the end that just gets crazier and crazier, darker and darker, flirts with the other one vibes. Like Jerry's like reminding them like, hey, we were in a darker place before we went to truckin'. Let's kind of get back to this dark, psychotic nightmare place. They kind of go back to there, and then we go into a war frat, which has this really slow, patient, almost wary vibe, but like intentional. Like that's what we're going to give the character this time, is just this sort of like tiredness, this exhaustion. They nail the middle section. They nail that vocal part. They nail the true, when they get to the true to you, Jerry tears into his solo. The dynamics in this song are just absolutely amazing. They are feeling all the different parts. Really nice closing jam that has a really fun segue into Around, and then we go into Johnny Be Good to close out the set, and we get a U.S. Blues encore. This is a fantastic, fantastic show. Feel Like a Stranger, epic. Deal, one of the best deals. The Althea in the first set, really, really good points. Scarlet Fire is amazing. Lost Saint, they nail everything about the Lost Saint. He's Gone ends with a great jam. The space is fantastic. A really good show. And then we got the second show, and that's only the first 2 discs. Second show opens up with an Alabama Promised Land. Really good energy. They're locked in. Jerry sounds good. Brent sounds good. Fantastic. We get a Peggy O, which has that really nice 80s bounce to it. Like you can feel like Sweet Williams' boats coming back to save Peggy O. Like you can feel like sort of the nautical nature of this song and like the travel overseas. And there's a nice little bounce to this that really works. Me and My Uncle Big River follow. Jerry's locked in. We get a Tennessee Jed. Seems to have a little bit of Little Feat type funk in there. We get a little bit of just a little like, you know, heavier on the bass, heavier on the groove, it seems, than normal. Then we get an Althea. Oh, we get a Little Red Rooster. The slide and the organ sound fantastic. And we just get an epic Althea. They jam out this Althea so well. The end just goes and goes and goes. Absolutely amazing. They take that energy, go right into Let It Grow. Let It Grow has that galloping, skipping energy that the best Let It Grows have. They just settle into that second jam, and once they establish the dun, 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 you know, that little part, they just go off and they just start jamming. They're just exploring. They are locked in. Every time they need to hit one of those chord changes or one of those tempo changes, they do it well, and then they just kind of move on from it like it never happened, just explore new territory. Really, really good Let It Grow. It just, you get, the middle jam is fantastic. After we finish the vocals at the end, we get a really nice long jam that gets crazy and hectic. Somebody, I think it's Bob, tries to go back into Let It Grow at the end of this. But Jerry's quickly like, no, we're just going to go right into the next song. And Jerry starts playing China Cat. And then we end the set with an absolutely amazing China Cat. It is just so fluid. The segue is perfect. It's just loose, freewheeling, psychedelic jamming at its absolute best. Day glow colors everywhere. Then we get the second set. Opens up pretty tame with the Jack Straw Ship of Fools. Really good energy in the Jack Straw. Ship of Fools, the Ship of Fools. But then we get an estimated profit that is just, it's huge. From the minute it drops, it just sounds big. It sounds like almost like the Jack Straw and Ship of Fools were warm-ups and like we're waiting for the estimated profit. The band's coming in like, all right, now we're getting serious. The jam on this is just pure psych magic. Jerry is just nonstop going. He's leading the charge. The band is just scrambling all around him. At one point, Jerry starts getting kind of a little playful and staccato. He's got this like, almost like this very staccato, one note at a time motif that he kind of plays with in the beginning of the jam and returns to at the end that kind of gives this a very cohesive feel to it, even though it, you know, it doesn't seem like anybody's really knows where they're going, but he has this just playing like dun, there's very purposeful notes, and it's just, it frames the madness in this in a really neat way. That eventually goes into a very high energy Eyes of the World. We get about a minute and a half of playing around before the vocals drop. Both of the solo sections in the middle of this are high energy, aggressive, pushing the boundaries. Jerry's got a lot to say. The closing solo, Jerry tries to bring it down. Like the band's like, hey, we're going to calm down before we go into drums. But then it just, again, builds back up because Jerry just keeps attacking and keeps attacking until we finally drop right into drums. We get a space that has this opens up with this very almost, somebody's on drums the whole time. I don't think Mickey leaves. I think Mickey sticks around, is playing like hand drums for most of space. So it gives us this almost like Middle Eastern caravan type vibe because of their percussion. It gets feedbacky at times. Jerry goes off at times. It's a little bit an all over the place space, but it's absolutely amazing. It's like a space you could pull out and listen to. It's a standalone experience. A lot of dark energy, a lot of really cool synth sounds. And then they make a segue into Not Fade Away that is one of the best, funkiest segues I've ever heard. Brent is bringing some hardcore, like wah, 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 like funk sounds. Almost sounds like a Shakedown Street jam for Not Fade Away. Jerry's coming in. And Jerry has this weird melodic idea that seems like it's quoting a song, but I can't pinpoint what he's quoting. And he does it before they actually drop in a Not Fade Away, before they do the dun, dun. And then he plays it again at like the ending solo. And it's a really neat, trippy kind of melody, but I'm not sure if he's quoting something or if it's just something off the top of his head. But it gives this jam a little more of an epic proggy feel, both in the beginning and in the end. And then at the end, this song just kind of falls apart, like they don't know what to do with it anymore. Bob starts yelling, not fade away, as the band's just kind of jamming around. It's kind of a different ending than what had happened previously and what would happen later. It's really fun that way. That eventually goes down into a Black Peter. Jerry's locked in on the emotion and the solo and the performance. It's your typically cathartic, heart-wrenching Black Peter. Then we get a One More Saturday Night. I think Bob's dropping the opening lick on this, and his guitar just sounds so thin and meek after the just emotional wallop that is Black Peter. And then we get Adonis as our solo, and it just feels a little sloppy, and it's a little, it's an interesting way to end the show with Adonis me in. But excellent. Two absolutely fantastic shows. Each set is a CD. Set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4, each on their own CD. So it's a really easy show to revisit because you can just listen to each set without any weirdness. There are so many just absolutely... The Wharf Rat is fantastic. The segue from Wharf Rat into Around and Around is just so weird from the first show. The Let It Grow post-jam is amazing. The Eyes post-vocal jam is amazing. Both of the spaces are so cool. Not Fade Away is super funky. These are two just absolutely fantastic 1981 shows. Things I am super excited to revisit over and over again. And the sound of Brent, all of his keyboard sounds, that just... It brings this day-glow psych energy to their sound that I think is fantastic. But anyways, if I had to rank this among all the others, this is very well maybe recency bias. It probably is, but man, did I enjoy these. But yeah, I have it at number 10 out of 55 right now. That might fall at some point if I get bored of it, but I'm really enjoying all of these random jams that are just popping up that are like 3 or 4 minutes long throughout both these shows that are just super tasty and just, I don't know, make me really happy. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Give me your thoughts on these shows, things I might have messed up on, things I missed. You know how that stuff works. And that's all I got for now. Peace. Talk to you later.